to Power Up Your Life. I'm Mandy McAllister.
And I'm Kelly Resendez.
And we could not be more excited to bring back some real talk for you. You know that we are powered by GoBundance Women, and GoBundance Women has these pillars of an incredible life. And one of those pillars, Kel, is health, is age-defying health. And we thought that we would do kind of a deep dive into it, and I'll interview you a little bit, especially because you just finished your book, The Abundance Frequency, and you talk a lot about, it's so cool. Well, actually tell us kind of high level about the book.
Yeah, so definitely the book was a divinely guided project for me. I knew that I wanted to write another book, and it wasn't until I was actually speaking on abundance in Tennessee at the DLP Capital event. And John Maxwell happened to be in the audience and met up with me a little bit afterwards and just said, you have to write a book on this. And when John Maxwell tells you write a book on something, Mandy, you do. And, you know, over this last year that I've had an opportunity to work on this project, I was really able to kind of compress into this book the pillars that were most important to me in tapping into this frequency of abundance, which is, you know, kind of that, another word for it would be flow or magnetize to opportunity, just feeling, you know, at your best, feeling energized. And part of, you know, what the breakdown of the book was is really about like, what are the three pillars that are going to enable you to live this life of abundance? And so the third pillar is environment. And I'll go into the other two in a moment, but I think it's important that we are aware that our environment is not only external, what we surround ourselves with and what we do, it's also internal. How are we energized? How are we physically, you know, showing up in our life so that we're able to create, you know, whatever life we desire? So I'm just going to go through those three pillars really quick. The first one is just igniting your vision and having a really crystal clear vision of how you want to feel in your life so that you can create actionable goals and, you know, things that you're going to be able to focus on so that you can feel the way that you do. And once you really just solidify what vision you have for your life, you do need to adopt the disciplines that are going to be able to allow you to stay in this frequency of abundance. And then, of course, the third is just really up-leveling your environment so that you can be in this state that, you know, most of us want to be, which is owning our joy and experiencing life with vibrancy and a level of radiance that most people don't. And so can we create an amazing life just focused on one? For sure. Like if you've got a big vision, you know, some people are able to create a great life. If you're very disciplined, you can do the same thing. If you're in a great environment, you can. But when you put these three pillars together, you become unstoppable. So, you know, physical age-defying health is definitely something in GoBundance that we focus on because we know that that's not how most people are living their life. They are not setting out to defy aging and really be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, it's such a perfect straight line. You know, it's this idea of picking your hard. If you're doing the hard things to stay very healthy and show up with this great abundance frequency, you've really always been my kind of woo-woo whisperer, Cal. I don't know if I've ever said this out loud to you, but the idea of believing in these unlimited possibilities and setting up everything to, you know, allow for that to happen. So, you know, let's really kind of go a little deeper on this idea of health and especially women's health.
Yeah.
You know, I used to work in med device for the bulk of my career. And I know for sure that the bulk of all studies are done on male bodies because the hormonal shifts in women supposedly screwed things up. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts and how women specifically can work to optimize our health.
Yeah. So what I know to be true is if more women felt physically healthy, the world would drastically be a different place. You know, leadership numbers are atrocious. Only about 10% of C-suite executives are female. You know, only about 2.5% of venture capital is going to female founders. And I truly believe that a lot of this is because when we get into our 40s and our 50s and we experience perimenopause and menopausal symptoms, we don't have the right healthcare system that's supportive of that. We don't have the right education that's really around it. So I know that most of Western medicine is rooted in treatment, and age-defying health is about prevention. Age-defying health
Mhm.
is about defying the odds that you're going to get sick, that you're going to end up getting disease, and really putting your body into a place where it's healing itself. We are meant to be in this place that we can fight off any of the things that are going on. But if our body is inflamed, if our hormones are out of balance and we don't feel great, we're going to be less likely to be able to do it. So I truly believe, especially women's health, is twofold. Number one, you have to have the right mindset that it's possible to heal your body, that it's possible to be able to take yourself out of any challenge that you're experiencing, whether it's an autoimmune disease, fatigue, any of the other challenges that a lot of times women in their 40s and 50s, really face. So number one, you've got to have this mindset. And number two, you've got to be the one that takes radical responsibility for your own health journey. I know I've gone the Western medicine route temporarily and didn't get the answers that I wanted. And that's when I turned to functional medicine and really was able to work on my entire internal environment, from my hormone health to my gut health to my adrenal health and really my cardiovascular health, so that I could be in a place where I felt at my best. And I know in doing this that it will empower more women, especially, to find our big voices, to find
Mhm.
our path to creating even more robust careers, because we're going to have the energy to do it. Again, I just think it's going to take women to redesign the way that the work world works. We've got to have a little bit more flexibility. That was a mouthful. I barely
Yes,
got
it
that
was.
one out. Yeah. And so it's definitely, I think it's critical. And, I'm on the forefront of it now, which I'm
Mhm.
super excited to announce here publicly. I just took the role of president for a women's telemedicine, health practice that's really centered around hormone health and thyroid health, that I know is really going to change things, called Minerva, with Dr. Betty
Mhm.
Murray. I'm sure you absolutely love her as well. And so I'm just really excited to be able to redesign the way that women's health is viewed in this nation.
It's so incredibly important. It's been a piece, like I mentioned, that we have not been studied in the way that men's bodies have been studied, and
Yeah.
there's differences, right? And Betty's my homegirl. I fell in love with
Yes.
her at Tony Robbins events probably about a decade ago or so. But I do think it is this perfect straight line of all the stuff that we do at GoBundance. Is let's see where we're at so that we can go where we want to go. So you got to have this North Star of where do I want to go? How do I want to feel? That's a big, important piece of our map, our goal setting stuff that we do all together. And then, in order to get there, you really need the data. And yes,
Yeah.
the Western medicine data is super important if you're fighting disease. But what if you just want to fine tune the really great stuff? And that's
Yeah.
what Dr. Betty does so great. So, walk me through a couple of things. I am a lady of a certain age. I'm in my middle 40s. My son always reminds me that I'm middle aged, and that's nice. But this idea of, it's 100% chance that menopause is going to happen to me, right? Like, what are some things that you are aware of that I need
Yeah.
to be on the lookout for, in terms of tracking, so that I can get where I want to go and how I want to feel in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, so for some people it happens overnight, and for some people it happens over a long period of time. So when you really have an idea of where your hormones should be, that's your estrogen, your progesterone, and your testosterone, they're all needed. But more importantly, you need to understand how your body metabolizes a lot of what is going on in your body. And so the answer isn't just get on hormones. The answer is to really be able to work with a team that understands how your body is working. Check your thyroid health, check your gut health, check all of your systems, just to make sure that you are absolutely in peak state. Now, the reality is a lot of women don't know what that looks like because they're used to fatigue. They're used to having lower energy. They're used to
Brain fog.
anxiety. They're used to brain fog. They're used to some of these things that are subtle. And so for myself, I got hit with the whammy. I got the hot flashes. I got the heart palpitations. I got the fuzzy brain. I got the joint pain, and it happened like that. But because I had already been working with, a functional medicine team, I was on it. I had 30 days of symptoms. I didn't suffer for the year or 2 years that most women do. What a lot of women don't realize is that psychiatric hospitalizations occur the most for women in their mid 40s. And so when you think about that, there's a lot of brain chemistry that's changing. Our body's been in a typical state of, just ovulating and whatnot. And then all of a sudden you might hit this point where you don't even know what's going on. Sleeplessness, just alone, sleeplessness can cause a lot of psychiatric challenges as well. And so it's really important that you start early and you start tracking these things. And that's part of what Minerva is going to be doing, is bringing women an app that really can connect to all their wearables, their test results, and they're going to be able to input what they eat, when they take their medicine, so that we can really get a strong picture of what's going on in their physical health so that they can defy age. Like, let's be honest. I don't think we were intended to live as long as we are. Or else our body, because estrogen is a protector, probably wouldn't start having the reduction in it. It's protecting our heart, our joints, so many other areas. Women with frozen shoulder, it's typically a result because they're going into perimenopause or menopause. And so we've got to take some intervention. We've got to be more thoughtful about reaching out and signing up for what we need in order to be able to defy, again, a normal aging process. Now, you just mentioned that your son said middle age. I don't think you're middle aged. I think that's part of the mindset shift that we've got to prepare for. Many of us that are in, what I would say the biohacking space believe that most of us are going to live until we're 120 by the time we get there. There's so many new advancements going on. And so part of it is a shift that we don't have to be in a lazy boy at 80. We can be on a pickleball court. We can be golfing. We can be traveling. We can be doing all of the things so that we can really enjoy life to the fullest.
Yeah, you do love your pickleball, girl. I know that for sure.
I love me some pickleball. For sure.
I love it. So I guess, we work really hard to be actionable in this podcast. So what's the first next right step? I think it's pretty important that, I completely believe Western medicine is so incredibly necessary, right? And I don't thumb my nose at Western medicine, but I do see that it treats disease, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm trying to improve my health, I kind of got to lean in a different direction. So if I am someone who grew up, let's say, on a farm without any functional medicine, solely in the world of Western medicine, not saying that I am, but I am. What are, maybe steps 1 and 2 that you would have someone like me take?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is just try to get a baseline for where you are. If you're feeling absolutely fantastic, start to journal that a little bit so that if things change over time, that you understand it's not always going to be that way. So you've got to be open to this idea that, you can start tracking on your own. Now, the cool thing is we have a solution for a lot of people from a telemedicine standpoint. So if you head over to gethormonesnow.com, you'll meet with a member of our team and we can really educate you on what the process would look like to get some really solid testing. Now, you might say, I got blood work done when I went to the doctor. I'm here to tell you that the levels that they're looking for are not the same levels that we're looking for in functional medicine. We utilize different numbers for your thyroid, for other things. So like people that say that normal weight gain, during perimenopause and menopause is something that you can expect, I would say absolutely not. Your body just hasn't been fine-tuned. So most of us, drive cars and we take them in to get lubed and oiled, and we take better care of our cars than we do our body. This is an
Yeah.
investment. And so I think it's just shifting the way that you look at your health and just taking again responsibility and starting to research a little bit. That's the power of ChatGPT and Google and other things. You really can look at some ideas that are going to drastically improve your health. So that'd be number one, is get a really solid baseline for how you feel, and then maybe get some testing done so that like, hey, if I feel great, this is a really solid baseline for me of where I'm at. The second thing is embody this idea that food is medicine.
Mm-hmm.
We have the power to drastically change the food industry in this nation if we start consuming foods that are, more rich in nutrients, that higher vegetables, higher amount of healthy protein, to ensure that we're really, in this place again of optimum health. So just recognizing that food is medicine is a really solid second step. The third step that I would tell you is that you want to treat sleep the same way you would working out. A lot of us pencil working out in. We've got to ensure that we get the adequate amount of sleep that our body needs. Our body repairs itself when it's in deep sleep. And if you are not getting deep sleep, and you can test this by getting an Oura ring, you could get a sleep study. The number of women that have undiagnosed sleep apnea, even people that think I'm skinny or whatnot, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of women out there that are struggling sleeping at night, and your body will not repair itself. And so that's another really big piece that I would say. And then the fourth one is just really to understand that if you have a healthy gut, your entire life will change. So a lot of people just haven't ever been educated that over 80% of your serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone, is made in your gut. And so if your gut is not healthy, you will not be able to feel the way that you really desire in either your physical or mental health. So you want to make sure that you take some time to really understand that. Again, that's something that we can do with you as well. And then the last thing is really just to ensure, like, you could have all of the physical health that you desired, but if you are not surrounding yourself with people who make your nervous system calm and happy, you will be causing yourself a lot of challenges physically. A lot of our body keeps score. I'm sure that some of you guys have read that book, The Body Keeps Score. It truly does. And so if we're not surrounding ourselves with other people that are like-minded, that are supportive of our journey, we're robbing ourselves of this, final element that I would really say is of just the journey of getting into the frequency of abundance. And so eliminate toxic people. And thank you very much, Mandy. You definitely helped me with that one in my life and supported me through that. And find the people that are really, like our GoBundance tribe. I don't know where I would be today if I didn't have all of these women that were also ambitious, that have basically said, I don't want to sacrifice my physical well-being. I don't want to sacrifice my relationships to be successful. And so the more of us that do that, and this is really where I want our listeners to hear this. If women don't start showing younger generations there's a different way, we're going to lose momentum. We've had some momentum. Like, the numbers have moved slightly, but I think that we are going to radically change some of these leadership numbers by getting women into their highest physical peak state and surrounding them with other women that can show them what's possible.
Oh, if you can see it, you can be it. That's a big reason I
Yes.
love being part of this
Yes.
group of girls, because everybody's doing these big, incredible things. And I totally agree with you. This idea that your gut is your second brain. And,
Yeah.
it's not something that you look at. It's not something that you track. And I think that, one of my primary takeaways from the things you've gone through just here now is you got to know where you're starting. And if you have the ability to tap into someone who is an expert, a functional medicine expert, and I just adore Dr. Betty, and she's who I see. But if you don't, just start journaling. Just start trying to see a pattern, because you don't see a pattern if you're not looking for a pattern. So, Kelly, maybe set us up here for a final couple of thoughts. If someone wants to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Yeah. So first thing, head over to GoBundanceWomen.com. We'd love to have a conversation with you if you're really interested in upleveling your environment. And again, check out the GetHormonesNow.com platform if you're interested in really taking your physical health to the next level and really just, defying age, which is one of our pillars in GoBundance Women as well. So, my book's going to be coming out soon. You can pop over to my website just at bigvoicesrise.com, sign up for my newsletter. That's where I'm going to be sharing all of the information as it comes out later in the year. But my final thoughts are, we are the creator of our own reality. And if your physical health is not supporting you living the life that you want, really just go this distance. Happy to have a conversation with you, get you in touch with the right resources. There are so many women out there that have healed themselves of cancer, autoimmune disease, so many different things, just simply by taking this next step and not taking, what we've been told in the past, as truth.
Right. But also engaging the right experts, because I am not a medical
Absolutely.
expert. I am not a medical expert. Please make sure that you're contacting the correct folks. So if please get a hold of us if we could help in any possible way. Again, this is Power Up Your Life, powered by GoBundance Women. If you know someone who is struggling with brain fog, maybe your girl
There
needs
you
a little
go.
help
Get on
here.
that website now.
Or is not living in the health atmosphere that they want to live in, or needs to connect in a different way, please like and share this episode. Subscribe to this Power Up Your Life podcast so that you don't miss a beat. So with Kelly Resendez, I am Mandy McAllister, and we will see you on the next episode.
See you later.